I just made an extra 4 hours for myself. Let me show you how. My name is Dan Christensen, and this is Automating Dan, where I am trying to save myself 40 hours or more this year through AI, automation, and productivity tools, and I'm sharing my journey, how I'm going to do that. Today I'm going to show you how I just saved myself at least 4 hours, maybe even more, through Make.com. If you've never heard of Make.com before, it's a tool where you can connect different apps and platforms and set up systems that will automatically process for you, so you don't actually have to do the work yourself. I think I'm going to be using this a lot this year to try and save the 40 hours, which is my goal for the year. And to start, I tried to figure out how I could save time with onboarding clients at work. Onboarding clients is part of my job, doing some different things to kind of get them set up on the back end, as well as put some information from the clients about the clients in different spots. And it can be a little bit tedious. It kind of takes some time to do. It's necessary because we need that information, but I wanted to figure out if there's a way that I could save time doing that, since it's something that I do a lot. I'm going to do a video in the future kind of showing more so the process of how I actually created this system. But today I'm going to give you the quick overview of what Make.com is, kind of show you the basics of the system that I did create and how it's actually saving me time. I'll break that down for you, and we'll just kind of show you some of those options in case you want to play around with it and try it for yourself. So this is the Make.com site. You can go here and check out all the information that you might want to check out about them. One cool thing, if you go to pricing, it's actually free. You're limited with how much work you can do, how many operations you can do. But I'm honestly using the free program right now for this first operation, and maybe even a few more. It might get to a point where I have so many things on here that I have to pay, but even then it's not too expensive, only about $9 per month to use it and get even more operations done using the platform. The other cool thing is they have a whole academy that you can learn how to use this. And it goes through the basics, it goes through some more advanced things. And so, if you're like, oh, this seems like a little bit too much, I don't really know if I'm gonna be able to know how to use this, they walk you through it. There's also plenty of videos on YouTube that you can find. I'll do some as well to kind of show how I built some of these systems, but there's ways that you can learn. It's definitely not something that is gonna be way too overwhelming or way too hard if you take the time to actually kind of learn some of the basics. So here's a quick look at the homepage here for my account. You have these things called scenarios. That's what you are creating to automate these processes using different apps and platforms that you use to connect them together to have things run automatically. So this integration, client onboarding, reset is the scenario that I've been using as we get new clients in to be able to automate some parts of this process. And so you can go here to the edit section, and that's where you can see this whole thing laid out. So there's these different modules that you can add, which are connected to the different platforms. So for this one, it all starts with a Google Sheet. I have a spreadsheet in Google Sheets that I put in some of the client information that I need for the rest of these processes. And then I have this router that kind of routes it to the different sections that I need to have it go to that need the information from that original Google Sheet. So one of the first things that I'm having to do is create a document that has a lot of the client information in it that we need to process some things on our end. And so what it does is it first goes and gets content from a Google Doc that I already had created that had some of the information set up, but not specific to that client yet. And then what I'm doing is I'm creating a new document with that template that I put here and using that to input information, going all the way back to that first Google Sheet that I had put the information in. So it pulls from that, goes through, takes the template, and then creates a new Google Sheet with that information that we need. Then this second line here, I had to create a folder to put that document in. And so I made a folder in the Google Drive, connected it to the Google Drive I have for work, and created this document into the Google Drive. The problem is, for our process, I need that to actually be a Word document. So what I ended up doing was downloading it as a Word document, that's the next part, and then uploading it back to that folder as the Word document, and then I had to go delete the Google Doc from that folder. So all that, it sounds like it's a lot happening, and it would be a lot of kind of clicking and figuring out otherwise, but I have it all automated in this section right here. So in this third section, this is where I'm updating our kind of client list that we have. And so what I'm doing is just updating rows in this other spreadsheet. So I've connected this other spreadsheet that we already had, that is where we put our client list, and I'm just having it update rows. And so I'm pulling again from the original Google Sheet that has the information I put in there, that has the rows of information that we need, and it pulls it and adds new rows to the other spreadsheet that we have. And so I have 5 of these here. Sometimes there are 5 rows that we need to add, sometimes it's only 1, but it's easy enough for me to just delete the rows that we didn't end up using. And so this helps a lot to get our client information that we have and put it into our master list where we track all of our client information. And then the last thing here is just I have a tracking sheet that kind of goes through, it's like a checklist basically of all the things that we need to do when we sign up a new client. And so this just kind of adds them to that tracking sheet. I'm not right now, at least, able to have it automatically check things off, but that's because there's other steps that I have to take and figure out. And part of it are these steps. So I have to mark that these steps were done. But this just at least adds them to that spreadsheet. So the question now is, how much time is this actually saving me? So I did the math, and before this, it was typically taking me about 15 minutes when we had a new client get signed up for me to put all the information in the right spots, create the documents, create folders, move things around. It was taking me about 15, 16 minutes. Now with this, it usually takes me less than 10, but I think 10 is probably a safe number because there's still some things that I have to do that I haven't quite either figured out how to do in Make, or it just can't really be done exactly, and so I have to go in and manually do those things. So all in all, it's, if it was 15, now it's 10, save me 5 minutes per client. Now that might not seem like a lot, but when you add it up over, client over client over client, that's about 5 minutes per client that I've added throughout the year. And just to, we don't know how many clients we're going to sign up throughout the year. I think a pretty safe number for me to be able to use is 100. It might be way more than that. It could be less, but it might be way more. So it actually might save me more time, but I think 100 is a pretty safe number, which means that I just saved 500 minutes throughout the year with this process. Now, if I did the math right, that 500 minutes that I've saved is really 8 hours and 20 minutes. So did I save myself 8 hours and 20 minutes? Well, not exactly. I'm trying to be real and transparent here and kind of show my process and truly track how much time I'm saving. And it took a lot of time to kind of set this all up. I had to learn how to use it. I had to go in and set it up, had some issues, had some errors, had to go look more things up and figure out how to get it done. And so that took time. But I tracked that time. And so basically I spent about an hour kind of watching some YouTube videos to kind of figure out how to set this up. And then I spent about 2.5 hours actually doing it. I ran into some issues and had to go look things up, and I used ChatGPT to kind of figure some things out. And that took me about 2.5 hours to actually get it running smoothly, mostly. There's actually some things I added. This second one here with the Google Drive, I actually had to add that part. That it actually worked out pretty quickly. It took me about half an hour. Had a few more issues, but it took me about half an hour to add that part to it. So in total, I spent about 4 hours creating this process. So I'm gonna subtract that from the time saved, because I also lost that time by doing this, which I wasn't originally going to be doing if I wasn't planning to try and save time. But that still nets me 4 hours, 20 minutes. Again, if we have 100 clients, 4 hours and 20 minutes were just saved with this process. Now, I can already kind of envision some other ways that I can improve this onboarding process, some other things that I could do. I'm gonna have to play around with it. And again, I'll keep track of the time that I spend trying to figure that out and see how much time it saves me. There's some that I've kind of weighed, like, this might take me an hour or two and it's only gonna end up saving me like a minute. So maybe it's not worth my time, but I'll kind of figure that out, and maybe I'll add on to this and let you guys know. I will put together a video that kind of walks, so I'll make a pretend scenario similar to this with other information. I'm not going to reveal, client information or too much of our kind of inside process, but I want to show you guys kind of how to set this up. So I'll do a tutorial video that kind of explains how I did this, how I set it up. But for now, I think this just shows like what can possibly be done. And I think it opened my eyes to some other things that I could definitely be doing. Definitely going to use this to work on some ways to create more content. I do a lot of social media and marketing for my job, and so trying to figure out ways to create more content, incorporate ChatGPT into this so I can use that and have it run through Make to do some of the automation stuff automatically without me having to actually go into ChatGPT, type out what I need, which is already something that's fast. I'm going to make it even faster by trying to use make.com. If you're curious and want to sign up at Make, I'll put a link in the information on this video that you can use that link to sign up and play around with it. Try it out for some different things. And like I said, it's free to use. You can upgrade if you end up really wanting to use it more and more. And it's not super expensive for how much time it saves you. I mean, I already just saved 4 hours with the free plan. I think I can even save more with the free plan. But if I have to end up paying, the $9 per month, I think it's gonna be well worth it for how much time I'm actually saving myself. But we've gotten started. I'm trying to save 40 hours this year. Already saved 4 hours, 20 minutes. And so I've got 35 hours and 40 minutes to go. And so I'll keep updating you on things that I'm trying, things that I'm implementing into work, as well as some things that I'm going to do for implementing time, things at home to be able to save time. Some of it will be more of these automations. Other, it's just going to be just using other productivity tools that help me save time, whether it's apps or websites or ways to, use email more effectively. Things that are just going to save me time that I'm doing in my day-to-day. And I'll share those with you and talk about that journey. If this is the first video that you're watching for my channel, I'll put my first video down below here so that you can see kind of what this challenge is that I'm talking about, and that way you know what's going on. Thanks for watching.